Good morning, dear guests. It's a pleasure to welcome you all at the third day of our conference. To begin today's session, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Garry CARNEGIE, Emeritus Professor of RMIT University College of Business and Law, to share their expertise on redefining accounting for tomorrow. But before he starts, please let me read his biography to you. Garry CARNEGIE is an emeritus professor of RMIT University, having served as head School of Accounting and professor of accounting at RMIT from 2010 to 2017. Prior to becoming an accounting academic in 1985, Professor CARNEGIE gained experience in the IT industry, professional accounting services in financial services. Before joining RMIT, he held full-time professional posts at Deakin University, Melbourne, University Private, the University of Melbourne, and at the University of Ballarat, now Federation University, Australia. He was the joint editor of Accounting History for a continuous period of 25 years, and since 2013, he has been an associate editor of Accounting Auditing Accountability Journal. He is joint editor of the Handbook of Accounting, Accountability and Governance, and of a special issue of Military Accountancy Research on the theme Accounting as Technical, Social, and Moral Practice for Shaping a Better World. Now we can listen to you, Professor.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all delegates. I hope you had a super gala dinner last night, and I'm sure nobody slept in this morning. And it really is a bus problem as to why you were running a little bit behind. It is a pleasure and a privilege for me to be presenting this morning in Turkey, or this afternoon where I am, at the 21st International Conference on Accounting. I'm most grateful to the organisers for this important invitation. Where you are in that part of Turkey is an important place for Australians and New Zealanders, who often visit there to honour and respect the Anzac soldiers, the Australian New Zealand Army Corps soldiers who died there in World War I. So the first slide just really gives you where we are today and what we're talking about. So next slide, please.
Of course.
Now, this is an important question, and some of you might be thinking, oh, surely we know that already. Or, oh, I haven't thought about that for a long time. I can't remember what my textbook said 20, 30 or more years ago. But I'm asking this question to you today to address what is the core essence of the word or subject, accounting. What is the core essence? Because it can be done, and it has been done in accounting, for us to define accounting in a way which means the doing of accounting. The doing of accounting. But really, what is accounting? And that's the purpose of this paper. And there is a new definition, if you like, proposed, which is what we're here to discuss. The next PowerPoint, please. Now, you may be wondering why definitions of accounting are important. They're only words after all. But I suppose we could say, why is any dictionary important? Because it only includes words after all. But the definitions of accounting that I'll quickly run through shortly date back to the 1940s. That's a very long time ago. I'm not sure if there's anyone in the audience who was born before 1940, but if you were, great, that's terrific. These definitions are really, if not really and truly, past their use-by dates. In other words, everything seems to have a useful life, even us, if you like. We don't stay on the planet forever. And why is this question important? What is accounting today? It's because the answer to this question today, on the 14th of September, in the morning in Turkey, will stimulate what is taught and what is learnt in accounting education from tomorrow. In other words, if you're an accounting academic or an accounting practitioner or an accounting researcher, you have to be able to find your subject and your area of specialisation. If that's not done adequately, it's not the best start to a relationship. So next slide, please. Now, as you could imagine, being from Australia and with the English language being our national language here, I'm referring to English language definitions, and I realised that definitions in Turkey may well be different or mean different things. On the other hand, this is the literature that tends to be called the international literature in accounting, so we need to sort of cover this subject all the same. Perhaps one of the most formal and best known definitions is this one, which was published by the American Institute of Accountants, which is now the American Institute of CPAs. And it was set in 1941, but there were other editions of this. And I know this might sound boring to you, but just imagine how your students would feel on hearing this definition, bearing in mind this is in the English language. I'll only read it so you can feel the boredom or the sense of, if you like, what would a modern day 21-year-old think about this? So accounting is the art of recording, classifying and summarising in significant manner in terms of money, transactions and events which are, at least in part at least, of a financial character, and interpreting the results thereof. Now, if you go onto the internet, and some of you might want to do it now, and key into the search engine, what is accounting today, you will find this definition appearing. So if you can find this appearing, someone at school in Turkey, in a secondary school or college, can do exactly the same as you, and this is the definition they will get. Another definition, which is fairly well known in the international literature, was put out by the American Accounting Association, the AAA. It dates back to 1966. I'll read this one because it's not very long. Accounting is the process. You notice the word process? It's really saying accounting is a process of identifying, measuring, and communicating economic information to permit informed judgments and decisions by users of information. So it seems to me that accounting is something you do to make decisions. I'm not sure that's too exciting to a modern day technical student or a secondary school student who is potentially considering becoming an accountant for tomorrow. So the next PowerPoint, please. I wasn't so happy with these definitions because I don't think they would excite any students that I teach. So I looked up Wikipedia. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, Wikipedia, that's not very scholarly, fancy and academic, quoting Wikipedia. On the other hand, this is how the everyday person, the average man and woman and student and child, this is how they pick up their understandings. And this is the definition that was given. Accounting, also known as accountancy, which isn't really part of a definition, is the measurement, processing and communication of financial and non-financial information about economic entities such as businesses and corporations. Now, the difference between this definition and the other two, the main difference is it refers to non-financial information, not just financial information, which I believe is implied in the earlier definitions. But to me, this doesn't tell prospective accountants as students really what is accounting. It's the measurement, it's the processing, it's the communication. But what actually is it in the world? What is accounting? A colleague of mine, I used to work with Craig Deegan at Deakin University. This is, I think, the 9th edition of his textbook. I did look for a 10th edition, but it's not available yet. This textbook sells quite well in Australia and New Zealand, at least. And he gave this definition, which is different. I acknowledge that. It's accounting is the provision of information about aspects of the performance of an entity to a particular group of people with an interest or stake in the organisation. We call these parties stakeholders. Now, I think you can see that all of these definitions are different, but I really wonder whether they serve accounting well. In fact, I would argue they do not serve accounting very well. So the next PowerPoint, please. Okay, so I've already mentioned that it's the 14th of September, 2024. So what would be, you think, an informative, relevant and meaningful definition of accounting for tomorrow? Because that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to make people feel like accounting is important, essential, highly worthwhile, and to give some indication as to why. And yet you can't have a definition of anything which is more than one sentence. So it's not so easy to write a definition, particularly of accounting. But I will read this because this is the definition which is proposed, and some of you may have heard of it or not heard of it before. It's been around for about 3.5 to 4 years now. Accounting is a technical, social and moral practice concerned with the sustainable utilisation of resources and proper accountability to stakeholders to enable the flourishing of organisations, people and nature. Yes, I believe that is what accounting is. That definition was first published in the Australian Accounting Review. You can see a link there. And it was also published by IFAC in the Knowledge Gateway Thought Leadership site. And the IFAC actually changed the title that was submitted and called it Redefining Accounting for Tomorrow, which, as you can tell, lives on in this presentation. So the next PowerPoint, please. Okay, and this is just a quick run through as to provide some stepping stones through the technical, the social and the moral. But accounting is definitely far more than just an ensemble of techniques, concepts and procedures. I know in accounting, and I'm not sure of this in Turkey, but it just tends to be taught on the basis of this is how you do accounting and you need to know this to do that, which really is what you'd call seeing accounting more or less as a technical practice alone. But accounting is in fact not that. I know it might look like the accounting, but it's beyond a purely instrumental or technical pursuit. You might not agree, but accounting is social practice. Because it's through accounting that people behave. They behave one way or another way. It underlies and enables organisational action and human activity, guiding and influencing our behaviours and our organisational cultures, including in universities. Thereby, accounting orders our lives, such as by means of key performance indicators, KPIs, or what might be called metrics. There are trillions of metrics in the world. They float in the air. There's metrics at universities, at football stadiums, at concert halls, in accounting practices. There are metrics upon metrics or KPIs everywhere. Because you can't see them doesn't mean they're not influential. They are influential. And through KPIs, through accounting, which is performance measurement, KPIs actually do rule us, direct us, guide us, and everyone else we know. So this is what is meant by calling accounting as a social practice. And accounting is a moral practice. We just can't produce any old number we want to in accounting. We can't say, oh, double it, that'll be okay, no problem. It's a practice whose actions and inactions influence others now, other people just like us, and in future, and help shape the moral order of organisations and society. So these are the three, if you like, dimensions of accounting, which is why this definition is called a multi-dimensional definition of accounting. So the next PowerPoint, please. Just so as to reiterate some of the things that I've referred to, what do we know today about accounting as social practice? Well, there's been a lot of literature in accounting conducted since the mid-1970s when a journal called Accounting Organisations and Society appeared in 1976, edited by the late Anthony Hopwood. And since that time, our conceptions and understandings of accounting have broadened, particularly as we are concerned about the impacts of accounting. What does accounting do? And these have been subject to a lot of attention by both contemporary and historical researchers since the mid-1970s. So what is accounting has increasingly become an object of study, less as pure technical practice. And the students are meant to realise that accounting is a pervasive, enabling, disabling social phenomenon. So a social phenomenon like accounting is a social practice. And one day I was giving a presentation just like this, and there was someone in the audience who was a professor of environmental studies. And she said, I know exactly what you're talking about here. I know precisely the angle you're on. She actually said to me, what you're about is what are the effects of accounting in the world? Do we know the effects of accounting in the world? If we don't, it'd be good to know, wouldn't it? Because maybe the accounting we do is actually not good or always good for our world, and our world in the broadest of terms, including our natural environment, humans and non-humans, communities and societies, as well as the planet itself. So accounting is increasingly recognised for its effects and reflections of people's behaviours and their actions, both in organisations and societies, with ramifications for organisational and social functioning and development. In other words, whenever you do accounting, it has consequences. And the consequences are broad, including on people, humans and non-humans. So, next PowerPoint, please. So, what do we know today about accounting as a moral practice? Well, I think it would be difficult to claim that accounting is not independent of or disconnected from morality. If you take on a career in accounting, you have to be concerned about morality. So morality is understood quite broadly as being at accounting's core, which we tend to envision more simply through auditing and assurance, which we know very well falls within the jurisdiction of professional accounting, or if you call it something different, professional accounting and auditing. So what is the centrality of morality in accounting? Well, it means a lot of things that we may not think about a lot because they've become second nature to people who practice or teach or research accounting. But this is what we mean when we speak of morality. We're concerned about, and we do, external audit. The same goes for internal audit. We have corporations, private and public, that set up audit committees. We have professional bodies setting up a code of ethics for professional accountants. This is a universal code around the world, and it's known as APES 110 in Australia. And we know there are boards of directors where many directors are called non-executive directors. They're people with a lot of experience in the world, in accounting, accountability, governance, and typically have other board experience. But they're not meant to, and they should not tolerate what might be called dodgy, unacceptable, or unethical, or immoral behaviour. They're not there because they have nice suits and good haircuts. Non-executive directors serve a very important role, which is and concerns morality. So what the next statement says is that when our accounting students, whether you teach them or not, when our accounting students understand the full dimensions of accounting as technical, social, and moral practice, they appreciate how morality is central to accounting practice. Accounting and audit simply must be trusted by the public. It must be. And if it's not, it's on the way to the rubbish tip in the back of a tip truck, because quite seriously, that's the big difference between accounting and anything else. So it is not just a technical practice. Accounting is a moral practice. So the next PowerPoint, please. So I'd just like to recap on why this definition takes the form that it does. And I promise not to read it again, but I know you can all read it again, and it won't take long because it's just the one sentence. What I want to say, though, is that there are key questions, if not vital questions, pertaining to each one of these forms of practices, or what's called the dimensions of accounting, which is really what we're saying should be, I argue, reflected in a definition. So as a technical practice, we know we and our students are concerned with how do we do accounting. We can't say that's irrelevant, but it's not only what accounting does. And what conventions drive what accounting fails to do? I wonder how many people in the audience have, in recent times, maybe today, or in the last year, asked themselves, what conventions do we accept in accounting that actually means accounting fails to deliver what we in the world need to help shape a better world? it seems to be a topic that's kind of like a bit of a secret. We won't go down that track. We don't have to talk about that. As a social practice, these are the two key questions. And you might not hear many people ask these. So for academics in the audience, I wonder how many of your students come up to you and say, "Oh, excuse me, what does accounting do?" And if they have, I wonder if you had trouble answering that. What does accounting do? And what are the impacts of accounting in the world? Do we know enough about that? And this is what we mean by the social practice that accounting is. It's a social practice. Everyone in the world is influenced by accounting. There can be no doubt about that. So what does accounting do to us? Us and the non-humans that are out there in the world? Dogs, cats, frogs, fish, tigers, you name it. The moral practice, the two key questions are, what should accounting do? Excuse me, but what should accounting do? I know you do that, but what should it do? Or, I wonder if anyone has had students ask this, what should accounting not do? And if they did ask you that in class, what would be your answer? So, the next PowerPoint, please. Okay, now probably the most common sentence I say these days is the first one. I seem to say it all the time. Not a day goes by when I don't say this. But accounting is not a mere neutral, benign, technical practice. It is not. On the other hand, if we're talking about accounting for a better world, which is something that maybe people haven't discussed a lot, but maybe it's different in Turkey. This is when accounting is conducted and deployed for the betterment of society and the natural environment, which means for the benefit of all of us. Accounting is for the benefit of all of us, humans and non-humans alike, to enable the flourishing of organisations, people and nature. And the bit in italics is from the definition proposed. So a better world, and let's just say we all agree we'd like a better world, because I'm not sure if anyone would be happy to have a world that's not better than the one we have. But it's one in which we, and I mean we, not just me or the chair here, but we, everyone in the room or connected to this presentation, act purposely to nurture the continuous flourishing of organisations, people and nature, and foster engagement and collaboration with other disciplines. Because whether you think about this or not, accounting tends to be a lonely profession. It tends to be somewhat isolated from other professions or other occupations. Accounting seems to say, well, this is what has to be done, so please do it. But I think accounting can do a lot more of engaging with other disciplines to work out how we can all of us, help shape a better world. The next PowerPoint, please. There is no doubt that there's discussion and debate and action occurring around this definition of accounting. It's intended to move accounting to its future. This definition is to move accounting to its future as technical, social, and moral practice. There's a discussion on academia at the moment on this very topic, which is running, and there's comments coming from all over the world on that platform, in my name, I should add. We know there are many big questions to be answered in the world, and we know there are many wicked problems to be solved. You can say, let's group big questions and wicked problems into a single term, and we could call these things challenging issues. But as I argue in the next PowerPoint, accounting has a mission, and its contribution to shaping a better world can be expressed in the notion of to serve the public interest, which is not foreign to accounting. To serve the public interest is what accounting is supposed to do, and hopefully everyone in accounting is trying to achieve this. So this PowerPoint is actually a representation of what I've been talking about. And so it starts with the heading. It's figure 3 of a paper, which is referenced at the bottom of the PowerPoint. There are 5 authors of this paper. One of them is Lee Parker, joint editor of AAAJ. But we asked the question, what is accounting? And that's what we did at the start of this presentation. And it has 3 dimensions or components: technical practice, social practice, and moral practice. There are key questions, as I've already shown you, in each of these dimensions. And then the next set of boxes says, what are these dimensions concerned with in major terms, not every single term possible. And I'm not going to go through these, but the idea is to look at these, to reflect upon them, and I'm quite happy for this PowerPoint presentation to be made available to all delegates. And I know the chair heard that, so thank you. Also, in order for accountants to sort of become a little more worldly, they need to adopt more interdisciplinary perspectives and meet people in other disciplines, so that accounting can work with other groups of experts in the world to help work upon answering some of our big questions and solving our wicked problems. So what is the aspirational vision of accounting? It's come from the definition just posed: accounting for shaping a better world, enabling the flourishing of organisations, people, and nature. Why do we do this? Because that's our mission: to serve the public interest. So if we go to the next PowerPoint, please, and we're nearly finished, so don't worry. These are concluding comments. They're broad. I'd like you to think about them. You don't have to agree or disagree with anything, but if you thought about these things, that would be great. Let's work together, all of us in the room and everyone out there who's connected with accounting, work towards redefining accounting for tomorrow as multi-dimensional. Because we'd like to achieve a few things: greater understanding in the profession, the accounting profession today, of the effects of accounting in the world, whether these are intended or unintended, or nobody ever thought that could happen. 2, we'd like heightened awareness in organisations, communities and societies of the effects of accounting and how it, and by it I mean us. You can blame accounting for something, but we're the people that run accounting. It's us. We have to shape a better world. And I'd just like to say that many voices can be heard. I know you're hearing me now, but silence is not platinum. So if we leave this presentation today saying, I'm not interested in that, I don't want to talk about it anymore, well, silence will not give us any value. So words are soft, but actions yell. And there's one more PowerPoint, I think. So the next PowerPoint, it's what I call a take home. So if you can't remember anything about this presentation, or if someone next to you had a sherry too many last night and has gone to sleep, I'd like you to remember this. So if anyone's sleeping next to you, give them a little poke in the ribs and wake them up. But I'd like you to think this. Don't ask what accounting can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for accounting in shaping a better world in the public interest for your children, grandchildren, and future generations of your family. And I mean your family because everyone in the room's got a family, including me. And I'd love to think we could pass on a better world to our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and future generations of all of our families. And so that's the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. Your presentation was very inspiring and gave us a clear understanding of how the accounting has changed over the years. You only see me, but there's a big audience who are saying hello to you. Please let me show them to you. Please hold on.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello. You look very calm, so well done. And nobody's asleep. I can see everyone's awake. So well done to the team there.
Please let me refix the camera, please.
Yes, fine.
All right. So, are there any questions from the floor? It seems like everything is quite clear. Once again, we appreciate your presence and the time you have invested to be with us. Our foundation has made a sapling donation in your name. We will send you the certificate of participation and the certificate of donation digitally. Wishing you a great day ahead. Thank you once more for being with us today. We appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, September, and goodbye to all, and I hope you have a great day.
Goodbye.
All the best. Cheerio.
Thank you very much again, sir.
Bye.
Greetings from Turkey.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.